This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a very gloomy day yet again on Djuma Game Reserve. It's overcast and not as ominous with all the mist around like we had yesterday morning, and substantially warmer, so that's awesome. And hopefully after all the mist yesterday and the spitting of rain the day before, we might get some leopard action. That's what I'm hoping for. Well, jump on board, everyone. I hope that you're ready for your live safari through the African bush. Hello everybody. I'm sure you're very excited for this morning's drive. I certainly am. This weather could be a movement for predator weather, couldn't it? So that's what we're going to be looking out for this morning, looking for tracks, etc. At least here on Djuma Game Reserve, it's Andrew and I out. We've also got Obi in Tswalu and Nikki and Ngala that are out and about. I wonder what they're going to be searching for. It's me, Trishala. I've got Morgan on camera with me, and we're going to head down to the south in a bit. It's about 11 degrees Celsius, 52 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're having a look out here on quarantine where there's a very, very few antelope. But it makes sense because it seems that the lions have been around the dam and are moving towards Galagopan area at least. So Andrew's going to go follow up there. So lots of plans this morning. What are your plans this morning? I hope that's to send us your questions and comments using that hashtag WildEarth or @FC on the YouTube chat stream. Of course, you can go to our website. You can register and use our questions and comments box. We'd love to hear from all of you, especially our kids. If you're under 18, please use kids' questions at wildearth.tv. Just taking a moment to listen out. I can hear some impalas rutting, or at least the sounds that they make when they rut, but not too much else. Luckily, this cloud has insulated us a little bit, so we have a bit more warmth this morning, just a degree or two. Hopefully we won't get any rain. So let's get a move on, and we'll check past, or we'll go past Treehouse Dam, and we'll check Twin Dams and move about in that area and see if we'll find anything special. Now, while we make our move, let's send you over to have a look at the weather at the other locations that we bring to you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve. Here we're sitting at this beautiful, very beautiful dam here, Gari Dam, looking at the, looks like still 3 hippo, I think. Having actually no additional there. And this is probably how it's going to be, cloudy a little bit, and we're going to be looking around for these animals, see if we can find anything for everybody. My name's Andrew, and I still have Theo on camera this morning. So we're going to begin in this area, look for specifically the lions, because they were seen not long ago, and some of them were drinking here. And then we're just going to check where they're gone. And then it'll be great able to see which bride, whether still the Talamati, whether it's Nkuhuma, because they were also south of here in the Lugari a few days ago. And these hippos, I think they have wandered out of the water. Since we last saw them yesterday, they were basking on the far end of the dam, but then I think they have walked off for grazing grasses. And now the time they have returned back to the very same watering hole. Jack, you want to know if these hippos are sleeping in the water? Not at the moment, they are not sleeping. But if they ever do that, they can. All they do is just find a shallow of water where they can touch the bottom. I don't want any disturbance from there. They can float as well, but then it's got to be a shallow, and then they can able to put a little two nostrils out and then take a nap from there. But it's also important when it's a sand up, when they come and lie in sand outside the water, that is going to be really properly a nap. So I've been listening to the audio or anything because it's still quite early in the morning to be able to see what or heard what is happening around. So in this case, we're gonna now start to check a few roads. Now we're going to be looking for a track specifically for these lines, because since they were seen here, for us to find them we need their tracks or find them straight away. Oh, there is a grey heron as well. Wherever they are, these lions, either still moving, hunting, or lying on the road, resting for a bit. going to check this very road, Mvuva Road. That means the Hippo Road.
Oh, just in time to watch our elephant move away and escape into the bushes. We're here at Treehouse Dam. Let's see if we can get another gap. It's a young male, a young bull. So perhaps there is a herd nearby. Let's say a pride. He is well and truly escaped us. Well, let's see if we can find the rest of this herd. Well, not the rest of. He looks like he's probably about 15 or so. But it's quite often that we would find these males around a herd, or not even around, but within a close vicinity to a herd. Sometimes they just want to socialize. Lots of the bigger bulls, you'll see them doing that. They're not in must anything, but they'll just come through, hang out with the herd for a little bit. Just because they'd like to socialize. Is still on my head. There we go. Hi, Numbers. We'd like to know if there are any flamingos in the Sarby sands. Well, like we've said before, it's just a matter of whether they come through or not, but we have seen them before. It's not a resident species, on Juma at least, or in this area. But they do come through. In fact, Lauren had them on drive a couple months ago now. Can't remember. I mean, I still feel like lockdown started in March this year, but it was March the year before. So, but it was a couple months ago, I'm sure, that we had flamingos in this area. Go up. I'd really like to spend some time with a nice elephant herd this morning. I feel like it's the best way to recharge your batteries. Kind of sit there and watch them. Very, very meditative. Just going to listen to this quickly because we heard some alarm calls. We had some alarm calls around Impala Plains area. So there was another vehicle that was closer by on Zoe's, so they went to check it out. It sounds like they haven't picked up anything. It's really important, a really important part of the game drive is how all of the guides work together to find sightings, because obviously everyone can't find their own sightings, because all the guests want to see lions and leopards and elephants and whatever else they can. Sometimes people come especially to see lions because they've spent a lot of time in the other lodges and they've seen leopard, or vice versa. So we all work together to figure out where these sightings are, and obviously to track them down with various clues. So we try to make sure that if one person is in this particular area, the rest of us go somewhere else, so we're covering more ground. And then once they have tracks, or they feel that the animal is around, but they're on this road, the animal could be moving to that road, that's when we come in. Someone comes from this side, someone comes from that side, and we try to work together to find it. And the morning's a great time for that. Okay. Looks like we might be on the right track to find some elephants. This duiker just sped off at the speed of duiker. Hi Jerome, you'd like to know if we constantly get new elephants coming through Djuma. I must say, we see the usuals quite a lot, but what tends to happen is if there is a new herd, especially if it's not one with some defining features, we'll usually see them for like a couple days, and then maybe they'll move north or they'll move south or into Torchwood in the east. But there's nothing stopping elephants from moving, new elephants from the Kruger further up, from moving down into Djuma. But also, like I said, within this area and within the whole Greater Kruger National Park, Djuma is just a very small space. So lots and lots of elephants will be moving through the Sarby sands. New elephants, that is. Sometimes you can tell if an elephant is brand new to this area because they're not very, very comfortable. But like with all animals, like we are with the leopards, and we try to be very careful in our approach to them if they're still needing to be habituated. It's the same thing with those elephants. But we don't get very many of them. I'm hoping, I saw some elephant tracks going across. Okay, hopefully I found them.
This is Jake Whitener, all the way from the US, and he is a holder of the Ticket to Dream.
I decided to support and buy the Ticket to Dream to help Wild Earth in its mission of conservancy towards animals and the environment.
If you want to go on safari with a Wild Earth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
And I would highly recommend that people would be involved in that program.
Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
Ever since I was able to get the Ticket to Dream, I've been looking forward to coming on this drive. It is an absolutely fabulous experience, and it's great.
Hi everybody, I'm Tiana, I'm from Johannesburg, and I am one of Wild Earth's biggest fans.
Been watching for 4 years, DG here from the Ozarks.
It's been 4 years for me, and I'm not leaving anytime soon.
It's given me a time away from the hassles of the city And it's given me a connection to a place that has stolen my heart, which is Africa.
Last year we lost our son, and now we're just watching Wild Earth. Love to all you guys.
You are reminding us of the role that we play in nature conservation, each and every one of us. You have reconnected myself to a dream that I had as a child to get involved in nature conservation, and for that I'm really grateful for as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at and beyond Pinde Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
So, if they have moved far, it would be because of maybe they were forced by any prey species they've seen around here. But if not, then they should be probably around, because they've been drinking not long ago at the dam. Adrian, so you're asking if there's only 2 prides living in this area? No. So we're looking at finding Talamatis, but there's a Kahuma pride as well. And there's a Torchwood pride. Those are pretty much slightly to the east of here, but they belong to an area. So 3 prides around. Off any roads, yeah, I will drive this river road further north, because prides, they do sometimes off-road, but then this is hunting. Again, join the road. Thought I heard something like barking, but maybe it's not really. But this is again perfect weather for a cat to still be on move when they when I hunt. So it's cloudy. You got them? Theo is so cool. I don't see nothing still, but looks like Theo got them. Yes, indeed, on the road. Got a pride of lions. Alright, they're on the road. So for now, I'm gonna keep the distance. Just gonna stay put here. This one looks like a 3 or 2 of a lion nest at the moment. It happens maybe it's more of them in this bush. They were doing the same yesterday. Some they were on the road, some they were just lying on the tall grasses. While asking how big can the lion territory get, but that is also something to do with how many lions in the reserve. If there is not much, a male lion can occupy from 18 square kilometers, probably 30 square kilometers sometimes. They can occupy it. But if it's so many lions, because everybody has to had a portion of a territory area, 14 square kilometers, or even been reduced from there if there's so many. Yes, we say that they're looking healthy and in good condition. They are healthy looking cat. You know, what makes a lion healthy is once there's not much of disease involved in them, and then they sustain in pride, and then able to cooperate well, since it's actually a very good number of them, cooperate hunting, and then they kill well, and that's it for the lions in the wild. They would be really, really well looking, just like what you see right here. So, Mr. Chrysostom, you asking if we do feed the lions or they get their own food. So we don't feed the lions. They, in the wild, they get their own food. Even the injured lions, we don't feed them. There's a Natal francolins there bothering them every now and then. It's a partridge-like bird, but there are Natal francolins. Looks like she's moving. So what I will do, I'll stick with these two lionesses. We'll possibly maybe see more of them if they all bride here. I'm going to be sending you across to Trish.
How beautiful. It's a saddle-billed stork, a female. And she was just in the drainage here. And I stopped for her and she flew off, only to fly around and come land in front of us again. It's been a while since we've seen her. Hang on. Standing by, Chris. I'm on Philemon's dip.
Alright, copy. Just to let you know, he's angling back towards Triple M now.
So the tortoise, or what we think is tortoise pan male, is around.
Power line and south of access to Westbridge.
Okay. Copy that. Thanks, Chris. On my way. So they're struggling to keep up with him. There's just one vehicle there that's found him. So we're gonna go in and rush up there and have a look if we'll be able to keep up with him. He seems to be all over the place, into Djuma, out of Djuma, etc. But it was lovely to spend time with this, however brief, with the saddle-billed stork. They're so beautiful. I love them very much. So the female has that yellow eye, and I always think that she's matching. So that little saddle there on the yellow saddle on the beak matches the ring around the eye, which is yellow, and then the male doesn't have that matchy going on. The eye is more of a very dark red. So I feel like he cares less about how much he matches than she does. Hi, Vicky. Ooh, there's that dead smell again. Vicky, you'd like to know if these birds are related to flamingos? Somewhere along the evolutionary line, I'm sure. But they are a kind of stork, so they're in the group that includes storks, so they're most closely related to storks. Obviously, the majority of us that are guiding in this area at the moment, in the northern Sarby Sands, haven't spent, or at least this portion, this Gowrie portion, haven't actually spent a lot of time with Dwarf Japan. So, and where he's moving, it's kind of into where we find Tswalu often. So it's interesting. His movements, his sudden appearance, twice now in the last 3 days, since Friday. And who knows how many other times that we haven't actually found him. So it's interesting that this shift is taking place with the males in this area. Sometimes Tswalu comes down to Galagopan. A couple, I think Lauren and Darby stint, he came down to Galagopan and they found him there. We found him on Aubrey's Road onto Vietella Access, and of course in the north by Sydney's Dam and Triple M area. So I'm quite interested because of the rain and the mist. The leopards will be scent marking quite a lot now, reaffirming their boundaries. And I wonder if we're going to get a chance to see where exactly his boundary is, which would be awesome. I just saw field mouse run across the road. Don't get to see them often. Okay, let's see what our...
West of sandy patch, but I'm also getting some big dongas here, so I'm going to try and stay with it. Okay, and what is the best approach? Triple M south of the gate.
Okay, so we're going to go straight out towards the gate. I'm just going to have to speed up a little bit. In the daylight, it's much easier to speed up than it is in the evening. I find this bit very exciting. Woo. Hold on to your hats, everyone. Did you hold on to your hat? Morgan's got headphones holding his hats. His hat down. I find it very difficult, not that it really matters to you, but I find it very difficult to find a cap that can fit my head properly, let alone one that can fit my head properly and have zero branding on it. And you won't realize until you have to go looking for one just how difficult that is. All right, we're almost at the tele-access in Triple M. I hope that we'll be lucky. We'll see him walking on the road in an open area. I hope that we'll be lucky.
So we are still sitting here, and then I try to reposition, but I still had a visual of these two liners, so there's no additional still. I'm just gonna wait. Probably maybe they're separated. Maybe there are other members still in the wood. But they are looking around as well, so it's a sign that maybe it could be more of them somewhere. And they're all well blend in. They just look like these grasses as well. So, Mrs. Chris's class, you're asking if do I ever get scared when I see the lions? Not at all. I don't get scared. So I love tracking cats on foot as well. And this trekking on foot sometimes makes you walk away from the vehicle for maybe at least a kilometer if you really want to track them and find out how they have gone into that thick. So I'm not scared of them at all. Oops, she's gonna head back to the sister. So female lions can weigh up to 150 to possibly 150. And a male that is the only one weigh more than a female, which 227, sometimes 220 kilogram. And they're all just move to the bush. So I'm gonna follow them. It's a good idea. So, black widow spider, you're asking if one of the female may be pregnant? I thought so. Only realize when she's mobile, the tummy is huge compared to the other one. So it may happen that she's pregnant. We got them. They actually went to lie down again. So if she are carrying, so gestation pregnancy period, it takes about over 100 days. And she will then deliver. But also for two lionesses to separate from the rest of the pride is still not that bad, because they can hunt well, these cats anyway, especially females. And they still cooperate hunt even though there are only two of them. And also the other member, they would be also doing their own thing, but aware of these two not in a group. Well, in that case, they sometimes, in order to be able to join Melody, you're asking how often do the lions hunt and how long they can go without food. Well, I've seen a lion starve for it was like 2 weeks that it was actually injured lions anyway, but without any disease interfering on them or broken leg, can go for at least 7 days or 3 days without properly food. But they hunt regularly. Like what you see right now, the weather is still great, so anything happen around here, they can hunt. So when they're hungry, anytime, except for a hot day where they will be in shade, unless if they disturbed by any of the prey species ran into their position, of course, they would be attempting, taking that chance to kill it again. And also being a nocturnal, it's one of the reasons that when they take it easy during the day, they're saving conceiving a lot of energy for the next movement, which is most at night when they get mobile. But if they feel like having that energy, they attempt to hunt in a day. if they may take it easy around here, which they may or may move again. Just like what they have done yesterday morning after we have left them there. The guys trying to visit them during the day. And then they just reported that they can't find them, they had moved. So I'm going to stay put to see what the action will be about these two cats. I'm going to be sending you across to OB to say hello to everybody.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Tswalu Kalahari. Another very beautiful morning. A little bit hazy, but very, very pleasant. Actually doesn't really feel like a winter morning out here, but look at the corona back there welcoming us. As I said, good morning. My name is Obakeng, and behind the camera there we've got Gerrit doing a very wonderful job for us. This morning, what I'm thinking of doing is actually heading more southwest of the reserve and see if we can locate on one of our meerkat colonies and see what they are up to in this pleasant morning light. So join me, and I'm gonna be driving along and chatting to you as we just getting closer to that area. So stick with us. Has been a while. It really feels good to be back. So let's see what the Kalahari has for us. This week has been quite an interesting one in the sense of weather, as I said. A little bit hazy, but not as cold, making it very pleasant and game being very good. So as I continue going southwest, guys enjoy. I'm gonna try find these meerkats.
Founded in 1973, the Endangered Wildlife Trust has consistently and effectively worked towards achieving our conservation legacy. Contribute to this legacy by visiting EWT's Get Wild eShop and purchase products with a purpose.
I love being a cam up for Wild Earth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
This is off the charts. This animal is about from your fingertips to your elbow. That's the total length of this animal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is like now my 4th Christmas in a week. We should do this more often.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
Hello everyone, my name is Trishala and I am a naturalist and safari guide here in Djuma Game Reserve in the Sarby Sands in South Africa. I think that the information that we provide, and most importantly the questions that you ask, give both you and I a really good idea of what's going on. My friend Fernando here, he's a flat-necked chameleon and I love them. They're just these gems that you manage to find in the bush.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
So a warm welcome to Ambion and Gala. We're currently looking at 2 giraffes that are feeding off a tree, and just in the back there's actually some more. Just notice what they're doing now. There was a francolin that flew up from the left. Often if there's a predator or something that moves through the grass and the francolin's disturbed, it could catch the attention of some of the other animals, like these giraffes we're looking at. So I'm Nikki, I'm going to be your ranger this morning on drive, and with me on camera we have Owen. So just to give you an idea, we were in an area earlier on looking for the lions. We found them, but they were in such a dense area we couldn't really view them. And so unfortunately we moved on to this another beautiful scene here with zebra, giraffe and impala. But have a look at this interesting thing with the zebra. Do you see like the top part of the mane is missing? And I wonder maybe if that has something to do with the predator, or what could be the reason for this. I can't see any blood around, but I can imagine like if a lion tried to grab hold of the zebra around the neck and maybe try to bite the zebra behind the neck, maybe it could have pulled that hair off, because it's a very unusual split in the hair there. And I can't imagine why or how it could just lose that unless something probably pulled that out. Can't really see that well from here, but what I'm hoping to do is that after we had a nice view, we can try and see if we can push slightly forward and get another glimpse of the zebra from a closer view. There's a few giraffes here. Now, it's also apparently World Giraffe Day. Now, I'm going to try and see how many there are. There's 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 giraffes. And then I've got a couple of zebra and some impala. It's amazing to see how this giraffe is stripping the leaves off so quickly. I mean, she makes it look effortlessly like the way she's just maneuvering herself around those branches, grabbing it with the lips and then stripping it off. And those, of course, she can't grab. She'll use her tongue. But you notice how she just folded the ears backwards. I wonder if it wasn't because of that oxpecker. Now she just shook her head to get rid of that oxpecker. You can see the one ear is drooping down. Maybe there could be quite a few ticks around that ear. And that's why that oxpecker has also been around it. What you can notice is, look at those beautiful eyelashes. Every girl's dream. Now, imagine being a giraffe and feeding off trees that have a lot of thorns on it. How careful you need to be in order to make sure that she doesn't prick out her eyes. And so having those long eyelashes actually helps her that as soon as there's a branch that gets near her eye, she can actually maneuver her eye around it or actually just close the eye to protect it. She's not too happy with that oxpecker being around her ear. Even if you look behind her, the Drakensberg mountain range, it is just such a beautiful scene. And she's now going to move into a spot where we can't really follow her. But let's try and move a slight bit closer towards where the zebra is and see if we can get another glimpse. Or not just a closer glimpse to see what actually happened on the back of the zebra. Owen thinks the zebra is just trying to be cool, but we'll just have to, I think here should be good. Because I think if we have to go a little bit closer than this, I'm sure the zebra is going to start moving off. That's very interesting. I agree with all of you. It is just such a beautiful scene. Now, it doesn't look like there's any scars on the zebra, unless this is something that's been done a while ago, or maybe like the zebra's just born like this. But yeah, I've never seen this. It is a beautiful scene. Often I found when you see zebra or even giraffe, you always find zebra around them. And it might be because even though they're not of the same species, it's that whole thing about being aware and having more eyes and more ears, the safer they feel in this environment. You'll hear this screeching sound that's moving over us. That's from the oxpeckers. So sometimes if you do walk in the bush and you hear these birds flying out from a dense thicket, you know, all right, maybe it's not a great idea to walk there, because there could be, of course, some of the more common things, but there could also be like a buffalo bull or rhino in that area. You can see here's a bit of a younger one in comparison to the taller ones we saw earlier. But Tuta, they are herbivores, giraffe. They occasionally are found eating bones, and that's just because of a deficiency in the calcium and phosphorus. But otherwise, they strictly just feed off plants. And even when they chew the bones, they don't swallow the bones whole. They actually just grind it into, like those that they can, they chew it, and like, of course, the powder that then comes off of it is what they swallow in order to help with that deficiency. We're just trying to see if we can get some of the other ones just to show all our viewers how many there are. And we have those there, those that have moved behind us, and then we are now off to the left. There's another one right here. You can see she's slightly bigger than the ones we just showed, and you can actually hear her stripping the leaves off that tree. Let's listen and hear if we can hear that. It's an incredible scene. Like the one giraffe is directly behind us now. She's not even 6 meters away from us. The zebra are moving closer. And you can actually see there's quite a bit of cloud cover this morning as well. Just try and listen to the noises around us as we appreciate the scene. Just such a beautiful scene.
We are not with tortoise pan male, as you can tell. But I'll tell you about that whole adventure in a bit. I want to look at this dead leadwood because often little things just poke their heads out as we watch. Like squirrels. It's a little early for the squirrels. Well, rather, the temperature is not exactly perfect for them just yet. Their small little bodies need to be warmed up. So you'll see them on the bark, or rather on the actual trunk of the tree, stretched out and sunning themselves. And I love watching that. It's very cute. At this base of this tree, I once stepped onto Thandi. Like, almost stepped out of the vehicle and onto her because she was crouched low at the bottom of the tree, and I stopped to look for the chameleon in that little shrub next to it. And then I was about to hop off the car, and then BK's like, the leopard. And I was like, what are you talking about, BK? And he's like, I thought you stopped for the leopard. I didn't know you were stopping for the chameleon. Did see my life flash before my eyes. Especially with a leopard like Thandi, who just looked at me. Like, I need to reverse right now. It's one of my favorite leadwoods on Djuma. I think the biggest and most beautiful one being the one where the battaliers hang out. But this one, also because of that incident and also the proximity to where the chameleon I spent so much time with lived, I have a particular love for this leadwood. I especially like the way that their inner bark, so the outer bark has fallen away. This is a dead tree, so the outer bark has fallen away now. And what we're seeing is the inner bark that has this wavy-like pattern. It almost looks like oil paint in water. It's really, really beautiful, and all leadwoods that are still standing have the same kind of pattern and really makes for some great photos and great sightings.
So we're still here, looking at the two lionesses. Hasn't been any sign of any contact call or a contact call from the other member. But this is a usual way of lions being in a pride. May separate during the hunt. They're trying to communicate maybe, and they're still far lost. Or maybe they probably know where the pride, which direction. Maybe they can't just move straight there now. Kesha, you're asking how often do the lions change territory? But firstly, that is something to do with their power. Especially males, these are pushing so much of other weakest male around. And that can actually happen quite often. So if there is no many challenge against those males, then changing territory is actually not very often. We have been actually seeing that happen, where result is not good because of fight. Some die, some get very serious injury. Females' territory overlap pretty much, so they also rely on males' territory. We've seen the Birmingham males when they move to the south. Talamatis stick around. Goma also stick around. They didn't follow them far south. Only the male had to change territory. But it's not actually often happening. It does, but not often. Kinkers at last. You're asking how often do lions have cubs, and how many can they have? So, firstly, female, she started to conceive when she's anything from 4 years, and then they would have probably cubs every now and then. So every probably 35 days, 40 days, 40 months. So yeah, 30 months, 40 months, somewhere there. They will probably produce again every now and then. But that's also depending on the male that is in that bride. Giving or conceiving can delay if there is no male, permanently male that's sticking with that bride. But for the males, it requires a lot of strength for them to be able to dominate, reproduce, and can reproduce when they're anything from 4 years, but 5 years. The only thing is, then they gotta be strong enough to defend their offsprings, which maybe that's not happening, because they're still too young. Probably are overcome by the stronger male around, push them off, and their offspring killed. So for male, it's not really possible. When they're still young, trying to reproduce. So I'm going to stay here till we see what is going to be happening afterwards.
The annual Safari Guide of the Year competition aims to create awareness for those men and women who dedicate their lives to tourism and wildlife. This year's event will be held at Marataba, a breathtaking privately managed section of the Marakele National Park in South Africa's Limpopo province. In celebration of this, Wild Earth and Marataba Luxury Lodges are offering all explorers a chance to win a 3-night stay at Marataba Safari Lodge for you and a friend. In addition to a spectacular land-based safari, Marataba Luxury Lodges offer an opportunity for guests to cruise peacefully along the Matlabas River, watching the animals as they drink and wallow. The lodge offers you a chance to lie by the pool or enjoy a spa treatment, and one night could be spent sleeping out under the stars in a luxurious treehouse. Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer before the 30th of June, and it could be you heading off on a long-awaited getaway. Wild Earth Explorers. It's in your nature. Educating our youth about the environmental threats we face is critical. Our future depends on it. The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, is actively leading the charge. Their goal is to encourage children to fall in love with our natural world and to empower them to live sustainably in the future. Through their school programs, the children learn to report on environmental issues through videos, articles, and photos.
The YRE program has changed my life in so many beneficial ways. Being out there at the workshops, I was entitled to talk with others, socialize, as well as my writing skills and leadership skills have improved, so it has been great.
WESA is a membership-based organization. By joining WESA, you will be helping to provide valuable support for these youth education initiatives.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
So we're still sitting here. All we've seen is one of the female that she's still putting her leg up. You can see how the teeth swollen, so she conceived. She's carrying, just not sure how long since. You can see how the underbelly is so paler than the rest of the body. That is something to do with the sunlight, where to the top the skin burns so much because then it's always in contact with the light and heat, but underneath it's always under a protected. So if you do give birth, lion give birth to about 6 cubs, been born. But for the first few weeks they would be well hidden in a den, and they should stay there, not to move around. And it's so important, the other member, they have to know the area. They may visit the area to check on her, but they won't bring food to her. Nazarene, you're asking how do I know how old this lion is? So the one showing its pregnancy, it looks older than the other one. So the other one looks like still around maybe 4 or 5 years, and the other one slightly older than that, probably 6 years. And the other one, still a lot of pattern, slightly, that's still showing on her. But also in the wild, these animals, they tend to live shorter lifespan because of the whole challenge they come across during their lives. But if you put them in captivity where you take care of them, you see them go over 18, possibly 18 and a half years. But back in this wild, we've seen them die age of 15, the females. The males, if they ever reach 16, 17 years out here, then they're very lucky. And those reach up to those 16, 17 years, then they finally can't keep up very well with the pride. You're finally isolated, or just because they cannot move as they move, result in maybe die of starvation, because then they cannot participate on sharing, feeding with the pride. Michael, you're asking what is my first sighting of Talamatis? Sure. I'll try and remember that, but a while ago. But started from hearing the name Talamatis back in the Kruger Park, is probably in places where there's called Talamati. And this is where they came from. But I think back in the days, I think already 6 years since I know them there, if I remember correctly. That was my first time seeing them in one of the big dam up in the north, Beverlysook. That's where they were seen first coming into that area. And it's been actually great having such a pride. They've been threatened a lot by different male around here. When just after the Birmingham, the Mapocho disappeared, and this is when they came in. But those knows very well they're of Mapocho. It's Nkuhuma pride, which they've been forever in this area. Back in somewhere 2007, they will exist, and these are the ones that always encountered with Mapocho males. And they were threatened so much. And that's where we saw them disappear back into Kruger Park. How far, I'm not sure, in there. But I only returned back here when all the issues of Mapocho settled down. Patrick, you're asking if the two different pride will cooperate if they're dominated by the same male. No, they won't cooperate. So each one of the group has to be on their own. Even though they home range overlap, because of these males, they are controlling them all. But, they won't stick around in the same place. So, no. And we actually observed that. But, it didn't really work. So, I'm going to stay put here, otherwise I'm going to also look for something else. If there is no movement with this bride, I'm going to be sending you across to Trishal, which she's also on the move.
I am now on Mamba Loop. So it was the tortoise pan male that we saw, but he was really, really thick in the drainages and we couldn't actually broadcast to you. But he has now moved into Arathusa. There's some good birds around here. So we're now on Mamba Loop. We're just going to sit here and wait for a little bit. You can hear there's a lot of movement, a lot of birds around. Let's move a little bit further out because there seems to be quite a lot here, quite a lot there. So let's just wait and listen. This is the best part because you get to just wait for the birds to reveal themselves. And then for Morgan and I, it's going to be a game of, do you have the bird I'm pointing to? Oh, we have an orange-breasted bushrank in this dead knobthorn. Off to the right, it's jumping around. Oh, where'd you go now? So travel this, there it is. Travel up the tree, and then a little to the right, and you can just see its bright orange breast there. Just the first where it branches out like that, the first one. And it's popping around. This is so difficult about a monitor. Okay. You see the dying tree though, right? Yeah. The tallest one we have here. So it goes up and then it splits in two. Yeah. And it's this side's split. But now I can't see it. The bush shrike.
Closing down for a short break on
Thanks for letting us know that. It is, okay, it's still there. It's just at the top of that same portion. Yeah, well, you're probably going to only see it when it flies away. There it goes. Oh no, it sounds like all the birds have moved away. Hi Jamie, you'd like to know if there are many birds that sound very similar to each other? Yes, absolutely. And that's why learning bird calls can be difficult because lots of them sound similar to each other. Like green-backed Cameroptera and tawny-flanked Prinia, they can sometimes sound very similar. Then you get birds that actually mimic others, like a drongo and white-browed scrub robin. They'll mimic other birds. So there's a lot of birds that will sound similar to each other. It's just about listening enough times so that you can actually recognize the difference. Now it seems that the birds have moved in this direction. Let's stop here. Mamba Loop is always a great place for birds because there's a nice drainage just off to my right here. I love when we see lots of little birds together because it sounds so lovely and they have really high-pitched calls most of the time. So you get this mix of very sweet high-pitched calls and lots of flutterings of color. It's very pretty. Here we have the great big Timbotti tree. It is huge and it's really, really branched out from the base. There might be multiple trees that have branched out there, but I think it's one who's maybe was cut down as a youngster or broken as a youngster and then moved off in all directions from the base. It's actually one of the iconic Timbottis here in Djuma.
So now she flipped over. And that's why I waited a little bit here. Hoping that she may show an interest of getting it to move. Probably when it's warmer they require shade. Or if it doesn't actually get much warmer, days like this, then they'll probably be happy to be anywhere in the open. Beautiful footprint, which can be around 12 centimeters. It's also just beautiful to watch them and also listening to all of the birds' audio in the wild. So makes me stay here a little bit longer than thought I'm gonna go. But I'll probably stay here with these two lioness.
So just bear with us. We've just located found a herd of elephants. And we're just trying to see if we can position the vehicle so we can have a look at them. You can see they're down a little bit from where we are. They're actually moving towards the river and feeding. Just trying to see behind us. There might be another elephant. But I'll just keep a good lookout on that one. Have a look here. It's a very interesting bird. You'll notice a very bright red beak, a bit of brown on the head, black on the shoulder, and then that light blue on the side. It's a brown-hooded kingfisher. Now, there's a brown-hooded kingfisher is near these elephants because as they're moving and you can imagine breaking the branches, like pulling some of the leaves off, there might be insects that will fly up. And even though it's called a kingfisher, it eats insects. And so if there's anything around, we'll definitely try and grab it. There's even a fork-tailed drongo at the back as well. Now, I just want to see, as I mentioned earlier on, there are a few elephants behind us. I just want to make sure that we don't end up between like the herd. Kara, they do. They actually have quite a few males that will, like when males get kicked out at the age of 16, they'll often join up with older bulls and form these bachelor herds, or bachelor groups, once a herd. And they'll then stick together for quite a while. Sometimes when the elephant bulls get older, they tend to be more solitary. They'll be by themselves. But it's often the younger bulls that will stick together and form a bachelor group. There might be another glimpse of some elephants behind us, but let's just have a look at how this one is feeding. You can see, like, hasn't really stopped the way that this one is just grabbing, looked like a bit of grass initially, and now it's feeding off one of the trees there, probably trying to strip the bark off. But what I want to try and do is move back a slight bit. There might be more elephants behind us. So let me just move back. Right, so now I need to concentrate because we're on a bit of a rise here, so we don't drive off the rise. So just bear with me as I turn back. Should be around somewhere here. There we go. I just want to see if Owen and I can work together more. Okay, just to try and get a view here. Okay, here we go. Let's give it a go. Just trying to see how many. There's actually a very small elephant there that you can barely see amongst the grass. Oh, and do you see like the one feeding away from us? Just left in the grass. It's almost like the same height as the grass. Right there, down at the bottom. See that female that's now moving? So just directly behind her, there was a very small little elephant. Are very relaxed, these elephants, and it's just such a nice scene. I mean, if you look at most of them, what elephants behave in general, like often this time of the morning, late into the morning, maybe early afternoon, they'll be feeding before they head down to the water. I mean, the river's not too far from here, and mainly there's so much actually happening. You can see this one here, how it's using the trunk to carefully pick some of those leaves off, where the others are just stripping like quite a big load of leaves off. The others are just feeding, and so like using feeding off the grass in some of the areas here. So it's a lot that we're seeing now. Is just how the elephants are feeding. It's just amazing just to sit and just watch and see how they use those trunks, the tusks, the way they use their forward to push some of the bigger trees out of the way to actually get to some of the leaves. But imagine the amount of leaves these elephants need to eat. I mean, like this elephant that we're looking at now, like if you look at the size of those tusks in the base of the trunk, see where, like basically between that space between the two tusks, it's quite a young elephant. But still, this elephant will need to eat close to at least 100 kilograms of food a day. I mean, that's close to 200 pounds of food a day just to sustain that body. But in the meantime, while we just enjoy this herd of elephants, let's head across to Tswalu.
Welcome back to Tswalu Kalahari, and look at what we've got here. Some meerkats just getting out of the barrow system in the morning, catching that light, and it's very, very important for them to be doing what they are doing now, just catching a bit of warmth. Speaking of how elephants need amount of food to keep warm, these guys, first thing in the day, what they have to do is turn those black bellies towards the sun and try absorb as much heat from the sun and get their bodies going. And then from there, you might see them starting to be a little bit active, doing what we refer to often as housekeeping, where they would be trying to get rid of that excess sand in their entrances of their barrow systems. There's another one just coming out. Slowly you'll see a lot of them slowly coming out. This is the horses, by the way, and the horses is one of our habituated meerkat colonies. And when I say habituated meerkat colonies, we habituate them in the sense that we do not feed, we do not touch, we do not change behavior. It's just a matter of them getting used to human presence. Just clarifying on that word habituation. It's not really that they are pets. Look at that. Already starting to search around for foraging for food, while the others are still just enjoying the sun. Takes a lot of body heat before they can get going. Look at that black belly that I was telling you about. As we know, black would absorb heat and white would reflect it. And look at how the face, on the contrary, would be much lighter. And it's also so that they don't blind themselves and can still be able to see in the far distances. You can imagine these guys, almost anything would go for them. So they're always on the lookout. Look at that, just looking around and making sure that all of them are safe. It's almost a paranoia. You have to be constantly vigilant. There's a bit of activity starting. So like I said, today is not the coldest of days for Kalahari winter. So that's why these guys are not taking too long to actually get going. Look at that. Very active, very fast. That's the digging I was telling you about. Look at how much sand one scoop picks out. A lot of sand. And also very interesting. Think about this digging that they are doing. It's very important for an ecosystem like this, where these barrows would be able to aerate the sand. And a very important thing for the sand to be aerated with regards to germination of new seeds and so on. Still a little bit hunched up, a little bit cold. See how they also puff their hair when they are hunched up like that. It's just so that what happens is the body will start warming up, and as it warms up, warm air rises. So by actually lifting the fur like that, it actually traps that body warmth and almost makes like a seal around the body of the animal. And that's why they puff it like that. It's actually called aeroerectile, what they've done there. Inquisitive little bugger. These guys just make it so, I often come and just spend time with these guys and just enjoy them. And over time, you could almost give them personas. You can, each of the three groups that we have that are habituated have different personas and personalities. And it's just interesting bouncing from the one colony to the other. And the things you start seeing and learning from the different groups. It's just amazing. All that work. It's starting to get there. Standing up, looking around, making sure it's safe. Almost doing a 360. They'll look side to side, even look up, see if there's any aerial threat. We're going to be still sticking around with them while we send you over to another very beautiful place. Enjoy.
We have another wonderful guest with us, Sergio Real. Sergio is a holder of the Ticket to Dream.
I bought a Ticket to Dream because I love Wild Earth. All of the guides have been awesome. We've been watching for years, and it's a favorite part of my day to get to watch the drives. I look forward to seeing lots of leopards.
If you want to go on safari with a Wild Earth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
My favorite part of the drive today was definitely an elephant that paid us a visit and came right to our car.
Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
It's amazing being on a live drive in Djuma. It's just fantastic. The scenery is beautiful and the animals are even better.
Hi everybody, I'm Tiana, I'm from Johannesburg, and I am one of Wild Earth's biggest fans.
Been watching for 4 years, DG here from the Ozarks.
It's been 4 years for me, and I'm not leaving anytime soon.
It's given me a time away from the hassles of the city, and it's given me a connection to a place that has stolen my heart, which is Africa.
Last year we lost our son, and now we're just watching Wild Earth. Love to all you guys.
You are reminding us of the role that we play in nature conservation, each and every one of us. You have reconnected myself to a dream that I had as a child to get involved in nature conservation, and for that I'm really grateful for as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's a huge privilege to be in these incredible places with these amazing animals. I love filming lions. When they do get up and do something, it's always spectacular. When they are playing, are incredibly fun to watch, especially subalterns and cubs. I love being in the bush and working in these incredible places with these amazing animals. We want to bring it to you so that you can almost feel like you're right there and be able to experience it and enjoy it the way we are.
We are almost about to see Buffelshoek Dam. I love taking this particular road towards Buffelshoek Dam. It's Hippo Pools Road, because as you round the corner, as you'll see, this great big reveal of Buffelshoek Dam. I haven't seen two fresh tracks or anything like that, but I have seen some fresh dung. Also not the freshest, so I'm hoping for the best at the dam. It's been a quiet morning, but it's still been wonderful. At least we had the promise of seeing tortoise pans, so that was a bit of excitement. There we go. The dam has been revealed to us. It also doesn't feel when you take the road that you're going to approach a dam because you're not using a drainage. There's no drainage alongside it or anything like that. So it feels like sort of the dams come out of nowhere. We have a single hippo. At least that's as much as we can see. Oh, I see a little grebe too. Hi, Bobby Blue. You'd like to know if the water could ever be too cold for the hippo to stay in it. I'm not sure. That's because the average, obviously they have a range in which they can exist. And obviously the temperature doesn't fluctuate outside that range substantially enough for that to cause a problem. And if it had in the past, then those animals that didn't have enough fat or whatever to keep them warm would probably have died off. But it seems that even when we are feeling very, very cold and the dams must be freezing, that hippos are still in it. So they must have a very high tolerance for dam temperatures. But like I said, I don't know what the threshold is, what is too cold for them, because in a time when I've thought that's very, very cold, they've still been in the dams. Oh, hello. Obviously they do have a good amount of fat on their body, and their skin is thick, not the thickest, but is thick, so that allows them to have some insulation, and also their general body size. Being large animals means that they are retaining more heat, but can actually they can keep the heat, but they're actually not producing as much heat as, say, a baby elephant of the same size. So normally an animal eats about 5 to 10% of their body weight per day, but a hippo eats less than that, 3.5 to 5% of their body weight. And that's because their lifestyle is mostly aquatic. They don't use as many calories to keep themselves working, their body working. So they won't generate as much heat as, say, another animal of the same size. And it's very lovely and peaceful out here, so we might spend a bit of time, and we're going to send you over to Tswalu and those meerkats.
Welcome back to the Hosa group here by Tswalu Kalahari. Not much has still been happening. It looks like most of the adults are now out. The youngsters are in and out a little bit, as youngsters would be, a little bit more active than the adults, which you can see there. The adults are still trying to warm themselves up, facing the sun still. Belly out. These animals really need that sun. Think about it this way. Apart from getting warm from the sun, it also helps with actually getting rid of bacteria the way they sun themselves. You see that sometimes even tanning away and also sunning the back coat or lying on the side, sometimes just on the barrow entrances there. So it's not just a matter of heating themselves up, but also a quite hygienic thing for them to be doing. Hilary, do meerkats suffer from any diseases? Yes. As mammals, there's a few things that could affect them. One of the most common or the biggest of the diseases they would get is rabies. And as you would know, rabies would affect the spinal column. But if you think of what I've just been speaking about them having to sun themselves and actually be hygienic that way, things like minge, where minge is a condition where the coat starts almost picking off. If you look at an animal that has minge, it's almost like it's losing fur, but it's not just losing fur. The skin after they lose the fur looks weary. It looks horrid. It looks almost like cancerous. I think that's the best way I can explain it. That the skin doesn't. You would be able to see that the animal is not in good health, but one should not mistake it for when it's wet or when the sour grass is actually up. Earlier this year, when you looked at some of the meerkats, they appeared darker. And that would be the sap from the sour grass. As they walk through it, it will actually make the coat very dark. And some people, if you haven't been exposed to that, you might think it's a beginning of a disease or something, but it's actually not. It's just because the grass is so fresh and juicy, and that sap that comes from that sour grass makes them look like that. So, yeah, a very good question to ask is what diseases, or do they get diseases? Yes, they are susceptible to diseases like any other mammal would be. It might not be diseases as what other mammals would get, but the specific diseases that would definitely affect them. And almost, if you think of it, they are not rodents, but closely looking alike. So things like that would also affect them. And as burrowing species also, think about when they go under the ground, things that would affect this their condition of living underground. So those are kind of things that would affect them. Gert, if you go left, there's a squirrel just coming just out of one of the barrows. Now, this is a very mutualistic and a very common thing that you see between meerkats and your ground squirrel that's just popping out. You just see the eye there. It's actually almost difficult to see it, but it's just on the verge of the the entrance there. And a lot of people sometimes ask, is it the squirrel first or the meerkats? It alternates. In most cases, it would be the ground squirrels that would start a barrow system like this, and then the meerkats come and take over. But it's very mutualistic for them to actually share and be in commune with each other, in the sense that the number with the meerkats means there's better protection in the sense of eyes and ears out there. So that's why they can cohabit. And also, if you look at what their dietary is, different dietaries, so they don't really compete for food. So they can actually share a terrain or an area without really having to compete for food. I mean, your meerkats mainly going for insects, scorpions, and so on, whereas your ground squirrels would literally be going for vegetation. So it makes it much easier that they can cohabit in an area. You're still just seeing the nape of the skull there, being very, very skeptical.
We're just enjoying some quiet moments here at the dam. I'm sure you will appreciate a moment or two of quiet as well. I see a little grebe somewhere just kind of moving around, and you can also watch the hippos and listen to any of the lovely sounds of the birds around us. It's really, really peaceful out here at the dam, isn't it? I always like a good moment in silence here at Buffelshoek Dam. But now we're going to move on.
All right, everybody, and she's still just closing her eye, and with her open her mouth like that, and of course they'll eat a little bit, but I think it wasn't maybe a lot enough. Maybe that's why they are separate. Maybe during a hunt, they find themselves away from the bride, and whatever they kill, they probably just eat, and the whole thing is done now. They just take it easy. Could be a duiker. Could be a bushbuck. See, she's got a little bit of the flies, and these flies all bothering cats, bothering all animal. They can bite painfully. Jeremy, asking if the lion's claws retract. So, yeah, they are only out when the animals want to use them or grab something. Otherwise, they will be attacking back by very strong muscles able to do that. So they truly they like cats at home. But so that their claws so big and they have big paw, 12 centimeter big paw and big claw. So yeah, it's attractive. And they won't use them for a digging ground. They would try that, but they won't use that claw because then it's wound up, harder to be sharpening again. There's the other one that she's still just on the floor, right straight away. Only see along her neck, probably ticks have gotten into her so much. But they would probably groom each other. There's yellow grooming. Searches each other's ticks on their faces, places where the animal itself cannot reach. When they're partnered together, they can able to help each other. So I'm gonna stay here, but if they just can't lie down, I'm gonna go look for something else, and I'm gonna be sending you across to Tswalu with their meerkat.
Oh, welcome back. We still with the meerkats. Now starting to get more and more of the digging going around. Let's see, just to the, yeah, looks like he spotted something. Don't know what he's seeing. Trying to look around to see what they're seeing. All of them just, all of a sudden, just looked at in one direction. I mean, that just shows you how exquisite the eyesight is. Yeah, there's at least 4 of them looking in the same direction. Nothing that I can see. Benson, would meerkats defend their territories from bigger animals? Sure, that's a bit of a tough question. What they would do, say for example, and this is hypothetically speaking, say for example, a jackal was in the area. Now, I mean, jackal is a predator, and they would take them out if they tried fighting. But what these guys would do is then they would have different barrier systems in a terrain. So a terrain could be, or a territory could be up to about 3 square kilometers. And let's say in that 3 square kilometers, they would have 6 barrow systems. Now, what they would try and do if they were molested from the one barrow system by something as big as a jackal or a caracal or something like that, one of the things is either get into a very thick area and avoid that, or if that particular barrow system, like where they are now, is being molested severally and they feel that it's becoming too much, then they might move to the next barrow system, still within their territory. So I don't know if that answers the question of not leaving the terrain, but not fighting for the terrain also. It's just a matter of avoiding danger until it's safe enough to come back to that particular barrow system. I mean, at times you see them almost abandoning one barrow. Look at that interaction. Meerkat and squirrel there. There was a bit of a, look at that. Just being a bully. Not that they'll fight and kill each other, but it's interesting to see the interactions between the two species. But again, back to what I was saying. So sometimes you do see them almost abandoning a barrow system for a while, or not using it for a while, and then all of a sudden something triggers that, and they would go inspect that barrow system, clean it out, spend a few days or a night there, and come back to the other barrows. So yes, they will move around and use different barrow systems, and obviously it also has to do with proximity to food and availability of food with the barrow system that they would be using at that given time. Now look at that squirrel, as I was telling you, that they would eat the vegetation, and look at exactly what he's doing there. Just digging for the little roots. It's obviously our winter time now, and it's getting a little bit dry and drier. So the roots would be one of the most nutritious areas of a plant, because remember, all the reserves in energy, that's where they would be stored. So that's why he would literally dig out the root and eat solely almost on the root. There's a Kalahari scrub robin. Listen to that. Also looking for little scrapes that might be left in between, as there's digging that has been happening a little bit around here, hoping for little bits of scrapes. So it just shows you how an ecosystem intertwines from birds to animals cohabiting and so on. And that's what the Kalahari is all about. Kalahari is all about different species coming together and making survival, or the different adaptational strategies of different species. And that constitutes the environment, or that constitutes the whole ecology around the Kalahari. It's very fascinating to see that should one element or one animal be removed, how easily it is for the whole ecosystem to actually collapse. I mean, you think of small things where earlier I was telling you that these diggings would serve as aerating the ground, and that being vital for the new generation of vegetation coming through. And you just saw the scrub robin, Kalahari scrub robin, coming through and just following up on what these meerkats have been doing. So it's just an ongoing cycle, on and on and on. Amazing. And this is what fascinates me about an area like this, where you're thinking survival is actually very difficult because of the elements, harsh conditions, very arid. But here we are, and these animals are making the most out of an area like that. Look at how far they're throwing that sand.
The Mara Triangle is a jewel in the Kenyan conservation crown, and thanks to the dedication of the Mara Conservancy, it thrives as one of Earth's greatest national treasures.
We have been experiencing a reduction in the wire snails that we collect on a monthly basis, and this is basically attributed to our intense patrols.
Over the years, this courageous team of anti-poachers has reduced poaching to almost zero.
Mimi naitwa Stephen Olereso. Nimefanya kazi miaka 16 sasa. Kuanzia mwaka 2002. Hao wanadamu ni wenye utua sana sana inaogofya ni wale wenye wanaenda kama ndovu. Wanatumia kama bunduki. Sasa hiyo ndio huwa inakuanga hatari sana sana kwa sisi.
As a result of the global pandemic and the massive reduction in tourist revenue, the Mara Triangle is facing a financial crisis. They need your help if they are to continue their ability to protect this magical land.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at Wild Earth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
Guys, have a look at what we've got. This is better than my birthday. Look at that. This is the first time that I ever see cubs this small. This is so special. This has officially just become my best sighting of all times.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
Owen and I were trying to do some birding this morning, and there was a beautiful magpie shrike, this black and white bird with a beautiful long tail. And just as we were about to get the camera on him, he flew off, so now we'll have to try to see if we can get another one. We are exploring quite a different part of the reserve this morning. We're exploring an area that's on the northeastern side of Ngala. And the reason why we're exploring this area, there's quite a lot of termite mounds, and hoping that we could see some hyenas. But also remember we said with the wild dogs, if they start moving their dens, they might even take over an old water burrow or old aardvark hole. And so this is an area to be looking out for it. We haven't seen any tracks for science yet, but it's a beautiful part to explore. You can see it's a lot denser than most of the areas we have been driving this morning. So I just wanted to stop here just to show the leaves of these trees. I might just grab one because it's going to be easier. So if you look right over here, let me just lift it up like that. Do you notice this leaf? It looks like it has two wings on it. And most of the area that we're driving here, there's a lot of trees called mpani trees. Now, this mpani leaf, now mpani, the word is actually the Shona word for butterfly. Now, if you look at the shape of the leaves, it does look like the wings of a butterfly. Directly translated, it means the butterfly tree. And so most of the trees we find in this area Armpani trees. And you can actually see them, like from all the trees that we're driving past, they're probably still the ones that are the greenest in this area. But for now, we're going to Pani thicket, and while we do that, let's head across to Trishala.
Carrying on and seeing what else we can find for a while now. It's been quite quiet, but we still have high hopes for maybe elephants in this last half an hour. I'm not near any dams or anything like that. I'm on Aubrey's Road. But I still feel like there may be some elephants around. Not that I've seen tracks or anything like that, it's just a feeling. Actually, it's more for hope. I love how full the area feels when they're around. When we have sightings with elephants, one elephant you also get that feeling, but with a herd, everything feels so full and warm. It might also be a result of their constant communication that is filling the air around me, even though I can't perceive it as sound. That might add to that feeling of fullness when they're around. But I do like it very much. Just saw a dwarf mongoose that was appeared not to be happy to see me. The grass is so long here that it's so difficult to even see them if they pop out. They're somewhere here. But I can hear them scurrying around. Can you hear that? You can see movement. We just had it do its call and high-pitched whistle. There we go. And off they go. I can hardly see a thing, but I can see the grass moving and hear the sound of the dry grass crunching as they move around it. You a poser. That's a proper pose, that is. That's great. Oh, Morgan. I'm gonna move you over. If you can see this tree branch, there's a bird with a bright red, orangey, small bird. Oh, off it flies, never mind. It was the green-winged petilia. I really love those birds. These dwarf mongoose are really making quite a racket as they move through the grass here. I was gonna say I'm gonna try and roll forward, but I'm definitely not rolling. But in Tswalu, the meerkats are digging at least. So why don't you go over and have a look?
Look at that, starting to get a little bit cuddly there. A lot of interaction. And that's quite also very important for them to be as tactile as those two that we are seeing now. It's just a matter of reassurance and also in infusing or and strengthening, that's the better word to use, the social structure there, and just keeping the hierarchy in contact. And that's why they'll touch each other and stand together and almost cuddle, but also helps with body warmth in general. So it serves for a few purposes at least, that they are as interactive and as tactile as what we see. But also look at how they almost looking behind each other. It's like, I've got your back. Beautiful. It's almost like they're having a conversation. Hemi, do meerkats share food with each other? Definitely. You see it more often when there's pups or youngsters. Now, as one would know, the very common social structure is an alpha male, alpha female, with all the subordinates helping to raise the young. Now, what happens is when there's several adults in a colony like this, what would happen is when the alpha female has given birth, almost each individual that is an adult and can forage would take that responsibility of looking after one pup each, and they'll almost have their favorite. So you'll see them as they start foraging, or at the time where those pups are old enough to start following and mimicking the adults. As they forage, they'll actually teach them everything they know about how to go foraging, and in the time that they also doing that, they would actually be finding food for them and feeding them. And that's how the youngsters would actually survive and also learn how to survive. It's by actually staying very close to one of the adults, mimicking what the adult is doing, and just learning as they go about. And sometimes it takes a bit of a time before they grasp it, especially the digging, because they have to actually listen under the ground as to what is happening, if there's any insect movement and stuff like that, and dig precisely to where they are hearing. So it's a very good question that you asked. Do they share food? Yes. And what you sometimes actually see is when these adults would find something that is more of a delicacy, then they would have it rather than give it to the youngster and give everything else or anything else to the youngster. If it's a small little worm or something like that, they might just give it to the youngster because it might not be as tasty as what, for example, a scorpion would be. And if you stick around and watch them closely, that's almost what they would do. So in my assumption is something like a scorpion would be more scrumptious and more rewarding or more delicious, and hence they would do such. So it's just those kind of things. And also sometimes what they would do is for the youngsters to actually know how to be able to eat something like a scorpion is they would give them maybe a small scorpion, let the young one be stung and know how to deal with the sting, for example, that when they do get a scorpion, the first thing to go for is actually nip off the sting, and then they can eat that scorpion, which, I mean, is another question. Do they get affected by the sting of the scorpion? In a way, yes. Once they've been stung, sometimes you actually can see the swelling and where the sting has gone. And after a few days, it will actually subside. So it's a lot of learning and a lot of caring. And these animals are sociable animals nonetheless. So that kind of behavior is going to be eminent and prominent amongst them, that one way or the other, they share something that they find foraging. And that's how they thrive. And it just makes it a communal thing that they all survive. So, holding that thought, we'll still be with the meerkats and we'll send you over to another beautiful location.
I am in Western quarantine now. I see a squirrel. Hello, squirrel. We were just talking about squirrels and meerkats sometimes sharing burrows. It's just sitting there on that. You sometimes get squirrels and Dwarf Mongoose hanging out together here as well. Sometimes they will share areas to rest in, but squirrels prefer to be in little trees or little holes in trees than the termite mounds here. Oh, she's very sweet with their little faces. Now, I know that there's some. I love when they go about foraging. It's so, it's such a like a stop-start motion. They start moving a little bit and then stop suddenly. Under this marula tree, looking for, no doubt, a marula nut. Off her tail slinks behind that bush. I know that there might be some dwarf mongoose a little further on. Oh, let me see if I can see them with my binoculars. Nope. They're sometimes here on this road. She's still there behind the branch, but she's moving off quickly. This is a great time for her and for other squirrels to actually be hanging around on the ground and on trees to get nice and sunny. This marula tree is a great one. But any tree with a nice little hidey hole for them and a nice branch for them to spread out on, stretch on, would be great to absorb this lovely sunlight that's coming through the clouds this morning.
Everybody, we have left the two female lions since they're just looks like they're gonna lie down there, I think, if they haven't moved. If they don't move, then for the afternoon it would be great to check around with them. But now we have found the dwarf mongoose just maybe about to come out to start to forage. But first, they gotta be stationary, check around. It's for their own safety. Mainly, they will be killed by a bird of prey. A leopard would kill them. Sorry about that. But they're very good and they're actually capable of fighting snake a lot of time. and they're always in that color, dark browny. And they congregate. Being a group, it's all idea. Which out here, there's also another species called a banded mongoose. Those are also congregate. You see them in a number of them in a group. They're looking around. Don't know what they heard. So, Kimberly asking that it's not too early for them to start to come out. No, it's not actually. It's a great timing. What happened? They sometimes be either slightly late to come out because of maybe not knowing yet whether it's already clear enough for them to move out. Where it's always important for them to have such a bird, which is a hornbill, would come land near where they slept last night, and they give a specific call that for them to come out. So then they know immediately it's a daylight already. But yeah, it's not actually too late because it's starting to warm up. That's what they need. First, they have to warm up. So yeah, it looks like maybe the whole member will come out. Those one are just the first to please see what is safe for everybody to come out yet.
The annual Safari Guide of the Year competition aims to create awareness for those men and women who dedicate their lives to tourism and wildlife. This year's event will be held at Marataba, a breathtaking privately managed section of the Marakele National Park in South Africa's Limpopo province. In celebration of this, Wild Earth and Marataba Luxury Lodges are offering all explorers a chance to win a 3-night stay at Marataba Safari Lodge for you and a friend. In addition to a spectacular land-based safari, Marataba Luxury Lodges offer an opportunity for guests to cruise peacefully along the Matlabas River, watching the animals as they drink and wallow. The lodge offers you a chance to lie by the pool or enjoy a spa treatment, and one night could be spent sleeping out under the stars in a luxurious treehouse. Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer before the 30th of June, and it could be you heading off on a long-awaited getaway. Wild Earth Explorers. It's in your nature. The Endangered Wildlife Trust fights at the forefront of conservation, across the vast Karoo and sweeping grasslands, in remote pockets of forest, along road networks, across African skies, and in communities to conserve our wildlife and wild spaces. Help us to protect forever, together. Donate now at ewt.org.za.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at And Beyond Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through And Beyond Ngala on Wild Earth. Send me live questions through the Wild Earth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
Look at this, the little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, Corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
We just found this pretty spectacular kudu bull. You'll see now when he turns around how long his horns are. You can see there's a few impala in front of him. Now, there was a female that we eventually focused on, and as soon as she moved away, we thought, we're not going to get a view. And the next moment, this big male came out. So let's just have a look. If we can't get a better view, we'll try and move the vehicle slightly. But you can see the female that we were looking at earlier is just behind him. Look at that. Such a majestic animal. You know what we can do though, is because he is moving in behind that tree, let's just wait until we can't see him anymore and then we'll move forward and see if we can get another glimpse. Alright, he's just moved there. Let's slowly creep forward. Imagine if we can get another view of this kudu. And you know what? Often with kudu, you don't really see them in the open like this. And when you do see them, and you get too close, they just dart into the bush for some cover. Let's try. He's now moving in behind this tree, but let me stop like this. Maybe he'll feed off one or two trees there and then start heading to where the females are. He's not playing along with us here. But you know, you can see the impalas moving to the right there. Maybe the females, if they do follow those impala, we can see that bull again. But even the females, look how beautiful they are with that white behind the legs. You can see when she's moving, her ears are actually pointing backwards, so that if something has to stalk her, at least they'll be able to hear what's going on around them. But that male, I do agree with of his, was very spectacular. Alright, let's try to see if we can get another glimpse of them. As I mentioned, I don't want to drive in quickly and then give them a fright. I'm just going to slowly move forward and see if we can get another glimpse. Hopefully. I can see that bull right through here. I'm going to stop. Oh, and how's that? Okay. Well, we might not see his face properly, but we'll be able to see some of this kudu bull. I see the female there feeding, and then just off to the bush on the left, you might just see the horns of this big bull. Sammy, there is always a possibility that it could happen, but most of the time when they run away, so let's say if there's in danger, they actually fold, they pick up their head and the horns actually fold over the body, so that it doesn't actually grip against anything as they dive through the bush. So I haven't ever seen a kudu getting stuck, but I mean there's always a chance, like if he wedges his horn somewhere as he's feeding, that he could possibly get stuck, but I think it's very unlikely. Chances are a lot better for him to get it out and actually move. But you can see how the horns actually form like a V shape, so it's not close together, it's spiral, but there is a bit of a gap there. So when he lifts up his nose and his head, it actually pushes down on either side of the neck, which allows him to run through dense areas. You'll see now as he's moving, maybe he'll even bend his head back so the horns fold in. Hopefully we'll be able to see that. Yeah, he's moving to quite a dense area at the back. But for now, we're going to enjoy this for a little while longer. But let's head to a lot smaller animal, the Meerkats at Tswalu.
Welcome back. Now there's a little bit of activity starting to happen. A few of them now, we're starting to see them just digging about, and some actually looking like they're getting a little bit interested in maybe starting to go forage. All of them just went under. Don't know what happened there. Just give it a bit of time and see if they do come back up. It was all of a sudden that they all went up, down, without much of communication even. So must have picked up something there. There's more of that entrance cleaning. Obviously, the wind would push a lot of the sand that they dig out back in. And that's why these mornings are spent digging as much as what we are seeing now. Interesting that there's in and outs, but what I've also noticed is the wind has picked up a little bit, and there's only one left outside. All of them now, with the picking of wind, obviously it makes it a little bit nippy outside. All of them have suddenly gone down. So it just shows you how susceptible they can be to the cold temperatures. Just that gust of wind, I think that's what has sent all of them down again. Interesting. You would think this time of the day they would be already heated up, but that cold breeze just sent all of them back down. He's still making sure that it's still safe outside. It is definitely warming up, so I don't think that's it for them to go down. They'll come back up, just waiting for the breeze to bypass. I've actually read somewhere and had a confirmation that just from shivering, they can actually lose a percentage of their body mass. So that's why they have to be, there we go, coming back up again. That's why they have to be so conservative of what happens with their energy levels. Now look at that crouching and moving about. That to me says definitely now we're starting to look for food. But yeah, on that note, we're going to be saying a very good bye to everybody for the morning. Thank you to head office. Thank you to Jared, and join us at 2:30 Central African time.